Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sexy and Wealthy Mom podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Fast, and I am super excited to have a guest expert on the podcast today. Her name is Jenna Monarch, and we met at the As She Rises conference in Montreal in September of 2024, and we have just continued our connection, and I absolutely just love the work that she does in the world, and just I'd really love she is the founder of the Yummy Mommy Empire podcast, and she has her own methodology and things like that. So I want to let her come on and introduce herself and take it. Jenna, hello.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for the great introduction, Sarah. I appreciate it. And I'm so happy to be on your podcast. And before you hit record, we were just talking about how it's been a couple months, and I am so happy that we can continue on. This is like episode two, and then we'll have episode three, four, five, six, and we'll just continue with our evolution together. A little bit about me. Thank you. My name is Jenna Monarch. I am the CEO of Yummy Mummy Empire. And when I think back on my journey really started when I became a first-time mom. And leading up to that point, I had always worked corporate. I was always climbing the corporate ladder and wanting to continue on the direction of thriving and striving for the next job, the next role. I was never one to stay in one single position for a long period of time. When I look back at my corporate um, upbringing, I started out as a heavy equipment operator, and then I ended up switching roles and going into all of my roles have always been in blue collar kind of jobs. Um, and I never really anticipated that I was going to be in one single um, career role. But through my transition, through my corporate job, as I was gaining all these other sort of titles, it really started personal developmental wise when I started with a marketing company. Um, doing social marketing and stuff. And that's really when my world started to expand because I'm like, wow, there's something outside of corporate. There's something outside of the 40-hour work week, working 40 hours, working 40 years to gain a pension and have benefits and do that whole thing. And I didn't really know at that time where it was going to take me until I became a first-time mom and I had to go on maternity leave. And I was like, wait a minute. How am I supposed to survive on a maternity pay when I have been a multiple figure hundred plus $1,000 earner, like being the breadwinner for my family? How am I supposed to, one, change completely my identity from being this corporate woman who was climbing the corporate ladder to now being a stay-at-home mom? And that's where things really, really started to change for me because I had what I would call an identity crisis. I no longer could identify with myself as that person that was on the phone 24/7, was always needed at my job. Now I was at home and the only thing that um my body or my mind was being needed by was my daughter 100%. And I really, really went through a period of postpartum depression, not only being the first time mom, but not knowing how to identify myself in that role. So, um, that was pretty much the catapult that built me to be where I am today. And it just kind of continued to evolve from there.
Yeah, and I love how you talk about going from working to being stay-at-home mom and how that can be challenging because a lot of moms and a lot of people listening to this can probably relate to having a bigger identity. right? So can you talk a little bit about that? Like how did you move through that identity crisis time, or what was it that made the flip to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna start my own business and I'm going to, you know, just do this thing that I don't really know what it's going to evolve into." But
Yeah.
like there must have been some kind of bigger calling as you were staying home with your daughter.
Yeah, exactly. So, um, reflecting back on it, it wasn't just like one day I woke up and I decided like, hey, this is what I was going to do. This was going to be the change. When I reflect back on it, it's been years in the making, and it hasn't always been like, the wave of the magic wand. My fairy godmother didn't come to me one day and just say it. Really started with Reiki. I came across, I think it was a post on social media or on Facebook one day, and it was just like, hey, become a Reiki instructor. I'm like, hey, that sounds like it would be kind of cool. And that was pretty much the snowball effect. So the very first certificate that I ever got was Reiki. And then I ended up going into yoga and getting my yoga teacher certificate. And from there, I ended up getting my life coaching certificate. And even though I was collecting all of these different certificates and all of these different modalities, I didn't know that it was going to become a business, become a passion, become something that was actually not only self-fulfilling, but externally fulfilling as well, something that felt so much bigger than myself. And the passion that it ignited inside of me was beyond anything that I was actually receiving from my corporate job. So when I started actually having clientele, putting myself out there, identifying that I wasn't just a corporate employee, that I was my own business, that I was my own CEO, that I actually had something to offer outside of just being an employee. That's when I started really utilizing my own tools and seeing that the change that they made for myself while I was going through this change of motherhood, and that I could also help other moms that were also going through the same changes. And that in itself is how Yummy Mummy Empire was born, because I was thinking there's actually a story behind it. So my daughter, she was about 6 months old, and I was going through my life coaching certificate, and I was actually like sitting with the camera off, and I was breastfeeding her, holding her while I was doing one of the online conferences. And there was a house that was for sale right beside us. And my ex-husband, my husband at the time, my daughter's dad, he had looked out the window, and there was this woman. She was very well dressed, very well posed, and she was going into the house that was for sale behind us. And me sitting there, I'm covered in like breast milk. I'm covered in like baby puke. I probably hadn't showered for a couple days, just looking like a hot mess. And he had looked out the window at that moment, and he had said, "Wow, there's a yummy mummy." And I thought to myself in that moment, I'm like, I want to be a yummy mummy. What does she have that I don't have? And when I thought about that and I really reflected back on that, there wasn't an identity switch where it was like something that was outside of me. It was internally, how can I internally align myself to feel and be and almost engulf myself in the energy of being a yummy mummy? It wasn't like I needed, designer bags or anything like that. It wasn't anything outside of me. It was learning to fill my own cup from the inside out. And that was really the moment where I knew that I had a bigger purpose, and I wanted to help other people internalize and feel great on the inside, and not just have it be externally validated.
That's, yeah, that's gold. And with the yummy the yummy mommy, right? Like, um, it- at first it's like yummy mommy, like what is that supposed to mean, right? Like, what is that supposed to mean? But also knowing that, yeah, it's how you feel, right? It's as a mom, I think that it is so easy to just focus on our kids, right? To do all the things that we got to do for our kids. And at the end of the day, we have to internally feel good, like internally have this sense of purpose and this, like, what we're doing in the world is bigger than that. Like I feel, um, and that internal feeling, like it is everything, right? It's like if our energy is drained, right? If we're feeling drained or burnt out or overwhelmed, it can be so easy to put ourselves on the back burner and to not actually take those steps, like some of the modalities you do, you probably do like breath work and something like what all do you do for yourself and for others to make sure that they are overflowing their cup and not letting, because I know for me personally, like as I expand my nerve, like my capacity, like my energetic capacity, when you're holding more things, like you're holding work, you're holding motherhood, you're holding business, you're holding all of these things, and it is a lot, like it's a lot to hold. And then as you're expanding your capacity, it can almost feel like you're on edge. You know what I mean? Like you're right there at the edge, and it's like, oh my God, am I going to be able to hold this and maintain this and expand? Or am I going to have a nervous breakdown? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like for
Yeah.
real. Like that's
Yeah.
sometimes how it feels. Like as I'm expanding personally. Like how about you? Like I'd love to hear your take on that.
You got that exactly. And so that's exactly. So like as you were explaining it, I was envisioning so you can like bear the weight of the world on your shoulders and then you're just carrying more and more and more. And as you continue to carry more, you like can either choose to let yourself go down into the earth and be completely smushed, for lack of better words, into the earth from carrying all of these boulders. Or you can actually allow the earth to nurture you and support you and feel that earth underneath your feet and fully feel supported, just like you are a tree with deep roots and you've got these beautiful branches and all of the different things that are being called or asked of you throughout your life. You are almost like that beautiful, elm tree that has all of these branches that are strewn out. And as the windstorm or the lightning storm or anything comes to kind of weave you off of your path or along your path, you have built such a strong foundation. And so along my journey, my different modalities that I've really started to love and incorporate and really learn more around is hypnotherapy has been huge for me. Not only just the subconscious, the unconscious, the conscious mind, but really learning to understand what my mind is telling me. So, from an external point, yes, you're this beautiful, strong tree that can hold all of it. But internalizing what is my body? What is my nervous system? What is my brain? A lot of the time, we can walk through day to day, and our brains are completely running the show instead of our souls, our knowing, our intuition. That's another big thing that I've incorporated into my life is really learning to be the one that's in control of my mind, my thoughts, my emotions, and then also really coming to love and understand and acknowledge what my body is also trying to communicate with me, right? And by doing that, I've also learned the female autonomy, how does the female body, for the longest while, I don't want to say like I was always trying to I will say that. I will, for a long while, even after I had my daughter, there was this feminine energy because I had a girl and because I was always working blue collar jobs and having to be very masculine. I grew up with brothers. There was this feminine essence that was actually like really asking me to bring alive when I had my daughter. And it had been something that I had never experienced ever before because I had never had to use it. Um, but when I had my daughter, I wanted to be able to put her in the frilly dresses and dress her in the pinks and all that sort of stuff. And when I looked at my own closet, I was like, I wear black on a regular basis. Like that putting makeup and doing my hair, I was used to putting on a pair of blue coveralls, throwing a toque on my head. Very rarely did I actually allow myself to step into my feminine, highest goddess self, like we had done on that in Montreal on that Saturday. Like that was me stepping outside of my comfort zone. So over the years, really, it's been a combination of mind, body, soul, different techniques and different modalities. You can't have one without the other. You can't just focus on the body and leave the mind to be playing tricks in the background. It's a trifecta kind of equilibrium between all sides, mind, body, and soul.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah. I mean, you got a really, she's got a really fancy shirt on today. It's feminine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so with the Monarch method, right? That's what you call
Yeah.
it, the Monarch method. Um, what is that entail? Like, and how do you deliver your work now? Is it like courses? Is it like, private mentorship? Like, what does that look like? And what is the vision for yourself in the next year or two, 5 years? Like, where do you see yourself going from here?
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question. So the Monarch method right now is my signature method. It is a combination of my pillars, which are kingdom, crown, and empire. Kingdom is the body. That is your vessel that you get to play inside of every single day. So if you can imagine stepping into this most grand kingdom castle and it has all of the most beautiful things surrounded in it, that is your own vessel here. And then crown is working with the subconscious, conscious, and unconscious mind. And empire is the combination of all of those mo different modalities and the different tools. So you got Kundalini, you got yoga, you got a little bit of hypnotherapy, there's a little bit of everything. So the Monarch method is pretty much my 10 years of studying and trial and error and tribulations and all of the things. And the way that I deliver that is through a 6 month online program and it's usually ran twice a year. So doors are not open, constantly revolving. It opens and then it closes, and it opens and it closes. And I usually only allow about 10 people in at a time because I love to make it extremely small and extremely intimate because we are going to the depths. You are, um, in theory, like the first couple months is just taking off those layers. And the reason that I called it the monarch butterfly is because, or the monarch method, is because I see it as the monarch butterfly. It is the transformation, it is the rebirth, it is almost like a death process where you constantly are re evolving over and over and over. And that's pretty much, I'd say, like the life theme of everybody's life theme is you're not going to be the same person this time next year as what you are today.
Absolutely.
If I was to say my vision for the next year,
Okay.
um, really, it's just going to continue on evolving and sharing my vision and sharing my mission. I often say that I like to live life through rose-colored glasses. and that the world outside is such a beautiful experience. I've really started to incorporate using nature into my modalities, hence like spring coming around the corner, getting outside and really allowing Mother Earth and Gaia to steer us and show us how beautiful life and the transformation of life gets to be. Um, and over the next year, I'm just excited to get on more podcasts, continue to meet more people, and just sharing the beauty that the earth has to provide all of us. And we have so many different modalities, and there's so many beautiful light workers and healers that are out there that are all working towards the same common goal, and that is to like help humanity um, just be united.
And raise the vibration of the planet by
Exactly.
focusing on those rose-colored goggles, because it's like, yeah, there's always something that we can focus on that could, that doesn't feel as great or isn't going right or what's not working, right? But it's like
Yeah.
over here in the rose glasses, and you're outside and you just like visualize yourself with these glasses on. It's sunny. You're just like the sun is beating on you. It's like, how do you feel then, right? Like, how do you feel when things are working? How do you feel when life is going well, right?
Hmm.
And doing anything and everything to focus our attention there as we continue this journey, knowing that it's not always going to be up,
No.
and staying in that energy as we continue to expand, I think is so powerful.
Th-
Hey, baby,
Yeah,
right there.
that's exactly it. Is um I just have this like ever
Mm.
expanding want to show people how good life does get to be. And yes, I often get the question, well, how come you always only focus on the good? You have to be aware of the bad. And I'm like, oh, I'm very aware. But what I choose to spend my energy on expands. What I choose to focus on expands. So, in that exact moment, I choose to raise my vibration. I choose to only let certain things be in my awareness, be in my energy, I'm aware of other things. Of course, you have to be. But I'm the creator of my own destiny. I'm the creator of my own universe. And I think that that is, one of those staple foundational principles that should be taught to children at a young age, that you get to create your world. You get to be whoever, whatever, however. Um, and allowing children to use their imagination, use their dreams and their visions to create their reality is going to be the biggest, most beautiful thing that we get to do on this planet. So if I was to think about my next 5 years is definitely going to be spending some time with the children and really showing them that nothing is outside of their reach over the next 5 years. So,
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I love that. And same, I think that that is a big part of the work is not, yeah, like you said, you're aware of things going wrong in the world. You're aware of the contrast, the duality, but it's like, what are you going to focus your attention on? What are you
mm,
going to, how are you going to move throughout the day? And knowing that that actually affects how you feel, and
yep.
how we feel, going back to, the beginning and that uh, just the internal joy, right? Internal joy, internal knowing that you have a vision that's bigger than you. And I
Hmm.
think that is the thing that really moves me, you know what I mean? It's like if I'm just focusing on right now and I'm not focusing on the vision and what am I here? Why am I here? Right? Like, why am I here? Big part of that is also the raising the vibration
Hmm.
and staying in this positive vortex, even when not everything is going right. You know,
No.
it's like not everything goes right in my day, and I'm still a very positive person.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, but then it's one of those things where it's like this too shall pass, right? When things are popping up and you're like, "Oh yeah, I really don't want that to be popping up right now." I'm like, it will pass. It will pass, you know? Like that discomfort, leaning into the discomfort, using those tools as you're talking about in your work, you know,
Hmm.
hypnotherapy, kundalini, yoga, like different modalities like this can really support us to just live and lead in a higher frequency of alignment is what it comes down to, right? It's like feeling more of the good, seeing more of the good, being in that path for
Yeah.
you and yourself and or you and others.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really what it's come down to. I think over the last couple years, the biggest thing that I've noticed for myself is how or where I want to spend my own energy and my own time, right? Time to me is the commodity that we can't retrieve and we can't get back, right? The clock just continues on rolling forward. But being able to actually reflect on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, monthly, every 90 days, so on and so forth, whatever might feel best to you on how you want to reflect back. But really taking the time to reflect back, one, on how a person is spending their time, two, if there's anything that does not feel right, like, hey, you feel guilty or you wish you would have done something differently or whatever, and then slowly starting to make those changes. For me, one thing that I've noticed that was not filling my cup, that I, didn't feel fulfilled at the end of the day, was if I take the time to go and like watch like a sometimes you got to sit down and you got to watch Netflix and you got to chill. But there was more guilt that would come out of watching TV than instead if I was using that time to be outside or spend it doing something that was creative or spend it doing something that was going to actually help me attain my vision and my dreams and my goals. And you have to have a happy balance. You have to be able to enjoy and be able to give yourself the downtime so that it doesn't become just, this ever-ending um goal that you're trying to attain, but at the same time really understanding where are you spending your time and your energy, and is it fulfilling? Is it bringing you that life force energy? And are you spending your time doing what you want to be doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Are you spending your time doing what you love to be doing? Like how much time are you spending every day doing things that light you up and
Hmm.
just increasing that a little bit by little bit by little bit, watching that your energy expand,
Yeah.
you be able to hold more, you be able to really flourish on a consistent basis. That's powerful. I love
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Doing what How much time are you spending doing what you love to be doing? Everybody should really reflect on this and everything that Jenna and I went discussed today. And any last minute thoughts, Jenna? I'm gonna be dropping her link, so make sure that you go and give her a follow on social media and check out her work even more so.
Hmm.
But is there anything you'd like to leave the audience with today? Any
Yeah.
last thoughts?
I'm just so happy to be here, and thank you again for the opportunity to be on your podcast. And if I was to leave anybody with a little love note, it would be just be gentle and kind with yourself. The outside world, we can be so hard on ourselves. And if you are currently somebody that maybe is exploring the world of personal development, or you've just had your spiritual awakening, and you're like, what am I supposed to do with all this stuff? There's so much great information out there. There's so much free information out there. And I think the biggest thing is like find yourself your tribe, find yourself a community that can see you and hold you and like completely 100% cheer you on.
I love that. And I'll be excited to see Jenna again this year because you're going to Vancouver, right? Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna miss it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys, if and anybody listening to this also, we are big raving fans of As She Rises, experience. I don't even like to call it a conference. It's a whole, integration, transformation, business empowerment. There's a higher self party. And this year, I feel like is definitely going to be the best year yet. Of course, it just keeps getting
Yeah.
better and better, but it's in Vancouver this year. So we're both going to be there, and there's going to be a ton of incredible entrepreneurs and women from all over the world. And it would be a really great opportunity if you did join us at this experience in October.
Oh, it's gonna be lit. The sisterhood is coming together for another year in Vancouver, and I am so excited to see everybody again this year. But the experience in itself, I don't think Vancouver's ready for
Oh my
what's
gosh. I know.
happened.
And Vancouver is such a beautiful city too. Like I went there for a day trip once back in 2011, but it was a day trip, you know. Now I'm gonna spend 5 days there because I'm going early. And
You're
the
gonna go early?
hotel, yeah,
Yeah.
and the hotel is such a vibe. The
Oh yeah.
hotel,
Yeah.
it's so good, you guys. You all should join us in Vancouver this year for real. And make sure you go and follow Jenna on social media. And thank you again for listening to this week's episode. And if you have not already, make sure to subscribe to future episodes. And I hope you all have a wonderful, awesome day. We'll talk with you inside the next episode. Bye, everybody.